Senator Menendez is here talking about this legislation.
Our biggest challenge with the House legislation, it's not affordable. In fact, homeowner premiums will likely double every 4 years and possibly even sooner than that.
So every 4 years, a lot of homes, specifically pre-firm homes, older, that are lower, are going to have premiums double every 4 years. Some of them are going to double every 3 years. I just had a meeting this morning in La Valette, and a woman's premiums doubled in 1 year. I think that's a mistake. I'm going to talk to Bill about that. But they doubled in 1 year. So this is the federal government. They're $25 billion. The National Flood Insurance Program is $25 billion in the red. And they have to raise money, and this is what they're doing. They're just going to tax you in a way. Suzanne was talking about resolutions. So what's happening is a lot of towns that have significant flood policies are putting out these resolutions basically saying, hey, we're against what's happening in Congress, these 18 to 25% increases. So as you can see, Berkeley, New Jersey, Brick, New Jersey, Toms River, New Jersey, but we have Florida in here, Monroe County, Key West, Florida, so all these towns. So one of the things I want to do is, what I would do is, if I was from Ocean City, I would call the mayor and the council and say, hey, here's a resolution from StopFemaNow. I want a resolution like this, pass it. It takes 3 minutes. But not just this town, every town that's in a flood zone. There's 22,000 flood zone communities. You're one of them. But if we all speak together, we can make a little bit of a change.
My name's Jeff Waltman. I come here from Muncie, Pennsylvania.
So Jeff Waltman,
back in 2012,
flood insurance went from $600
with an appraised value of $57,000.
$600.
Did your realtor tell you anything about bigger water?
Not a word.
Did your realtor tell you anything about your actuary rate?
No. In 2012, our premium was $592.
So 5 years ago, it was say $600. And how much is it today?
$9,069.
What's probably going to happen to you and your family?
Basically, we were thrown out of our house.
By who?
The government.
Thank you.
He actually came to Washington with me. That's Jeff Waltman. This is just a video. It won't have to go. It's actually the Toms River Council basically saying we're against the 18% premiums. It will devastate our community. It's 18%, just so you know, who's the second homeowner? It's 25% for you guys, okay? 18% for primaries. It's up to 18% for primary homeowners and up to 25% for secondary homeowners. I like to do them nice and quick. The National Flood Insurance Program was started in 1968. Private insurers got beat up a little bit before that, and they got out. Flood insurance was subsidized to encourage when the program started. Every 4 years, it needs to reauthorize the National Flood Insurance Program. This legislation that Senator Menendez was talking about, doubling every 4 years, it was supposed to get reauthorized last year. They do these temporary extensions, but it's supposed to happen in September when they get back in session. There's 5.1 million flood policies. We're in debt over $25 billion. A lot of it is actual government mismanagement. It's not like, all right, so that's one of the problems. That's one of the issues I have. There's 22,000 flood zone communities, and here's the issue. The subsidies are being phased out right there. So that's our problem. Here's the legislation. 2012 was when the problem happened. That's when I got involved. My flood insurance was going from $1,000 to $30,000 a year. That's why I'm here. So we had two issues. I rebuilt, they made me raise, and on top of it, I went from an A6 to a V10 overnight. They remapped me, okay? So that's what happened. In 2014, they passed, it's temporary legislation. Senator Menendez actually sponsored the bill, and it just kicked the can down the road, and we're here today. So this is the legislation that's in the House. You're gonna get 18 to 25% compounded yearly increases. Imagine if your 401k plan was getting, okay? That's what they're proposing. And Senator Menendez now is proposing another bill, which is capping the increases at 9%. So it's Senator Menendez, Senator Kennedy Cassidy from Louisiana. So those are the things that we're worrying about today. Senator Schumer and another congressman in New York and Menendez and everybody, they're talking about, it's called risk rating 2.0. And risk rating 2.0 is, fat fingers, okay, risk rating 2.0 right here, it's going to change the way they calculate risk. So right now, they take a 20 by 20 block area and they call it a panel. And whether you're 1 block in from the V zone and to 10 blocks in, everybody pays the same rate who's at the same elevation, basically. Now what they're saying is, if you're closer to the risk, if you're closer to the water, you're gonna be paying more money, even if you're elevated. We just don't know how much, and FEMA's not releasing this. When Senator Schumer and Senator Menendez and Senator Cassidy, these are senior senators in Washington, are saying, FEMA, you're changing this. You're fundamentally changing the way you do risk, and you're not letting us know how to do it. And they're not telling anybody on it. So I can't tell you what they're gonna do, but it's probably not gonna be good. They're $25 billion in debt. So like I said, primary homes, primary homeowners are gonna receive 18%. Second homes, investment homes, substantially damaged, severe repetitive, and commercial owners will receive up to 25% compounded yearly increases until they reach their actuarial rate. Yes? Very good. So the actuarial rate is, when you call Geico, you get a premium. They look at how many accidents you've been, what your driving record is, and everything else. What FEMA does, or what FEMA should be doing, is basically saying, here's your elevation, here's our elevation up here, here's FEMA's elevation, here's my elevation. We designate your risk, and this is what it costs every year. But here's your subsidies, and this is why you're only paying $2,000, $3,000, or $4,000 a year. You're gonna be paying this amount as the 18 and 25% compounded yearly increases hit you. And that's the big problem that I have. The government is not telling people, you're gonna have that guy whose deal fell out the table, at the closing table, a $32,000 premium, nobody knew. He didn't know, his realtor didn't know, nobody knew. Would you like to know if your premium is going to $32,000 a year? So that one of the things we're trying to get to FEMA to do is actually put a button, actually put a little thing. When you get a mortgage, and you get an adjustable mortgage, the bank tells you it's you're going to start at 3%, it's only going to go up 1% a year, and it's going to cap out at this. It discloses. They are mandated to disclose this. So why is FEMA not mandated to disclose what the actuarial rate is? Correct? Don't you think that would be something pretty obvious? Especially if it's going to $32,000 a year. By the way, the biggest flood insurance bill I've seen, I have it, is a $65,000 a year flood insurance bill for a $250,000 policy. Think about that for a second. Every 4 years, this home will be a total loss according to FEMA. It has never flooded. Okay, now that homeowner, when the rule passed, when the Homeowners Flood Insurance Affordability Act passed in 2015, that homeowner is now paying, say, $4,000 or $5,000 a year. What do you think that homeowner is probably going to do, because they know they have a $65,000 actuarial rate? What do you think they're going to do? Sell. And who do you think is going to get stuck? The new owner. So it's not fair. See, this is a fundamental problem that we're having. Who would like to know what their actuarial rate is? Okay, so I want you to ask your insurance agent first. And if you don't get it from your insurance agent, I want you to go here. You got a pen? www.truefloodrate.com. You got to know your actuarial rate. No, it's not free. Okay, so it's www.truefloodrate.com. Ask your flood. FEMA should give it to you. It should be automatic in your heading. FEMA's not going to give it to you. If everybody gets a bill and you see it triple, quadruple, pentuple, whatever that is, there's going to be a lot of phone calls to your congressmen and senators. But if I give it to you at 10 or 20% a year, you can probably choke on it for a little bit. And every person gets it differently, okay? So that's one of your problems. Okay. So let's discuss. This is an actual FEMA document. And it says here, if your actuarial, this is your actuarial, if you're at 1 foot above the BFE, you should be paying $819. So if you're elevated, there's a high probability you're going to be good. Now, let me just make a caveat. Risk mapping, which is coming out in 2020, might change everything. So I can't tell you one way or another if it's going to be better or worse. I think personally, the closer you live to the water, even if you're elevated, your premiums are going to rise. Are they going to rise crazy? Probably not. But if you have a lower home, an older pre-firm home, and you live near the water, risk rating 2.0 is just going to exacerbate your premiums. They're going to make them go higher. That's my opinion. All right, so if you're, right now, if your home is 1 foot below, you may be paying around $2,000 a year. Your actuary rate is $5,600 a year. If your home is 10 foot below, you're still paying $2,200 a year. Your actuary rate is $25,000 a year. Who lives in a V zone? You live in a V zone? The numbers are way worse for V zone. Way worse. If you live in a V zone and your home is lower, that guy who has a $32,000 premium, he lives on the bay. He is in a V zone. His home is pre-firm. His home is lower. So that's what you want to know. So your value is going to be very affected by these. So you're going to be paying, everybody's going to be paying. A few people, their actuary rate's actually going to go down. If you can see here, these people were subsidizing people. You see what I'm saying? So no longer. Everybody's going to pay their true flood rate. Okay? All right. Who's paying $2,000 a year? You have an older home? Okay. So you're a second homeowner, correct? So we're going to take the second homeowner. You're a second homeowner. You're at, let's say, $2,500 a year. If you start now, in 5 years, it's going to be $6,000. In 8 years, it's going to be $14,900. I don't know what your actuary rate is. Your actuary rate might be $7,600 or $29,000, but you can see how the increases are going. Today there's an actuary rate. Inflation gets into it, so you're going to be chasing the actuary rate. You see what I'm saying? Just so you know, global warming is not part of FEMA flood maps. So there's something called Technical Mapping Advisory Council. They advise FEMA on how to build the maps. Whether you agree with global warming or not, they're going to be putting that additional 1 or 2 or 3 feet of elevation, 1 or 2, 3 of sea level rise, it might be 6 feet of sea level rise, into the maps. It's not even that the elevation is going to go up 1 or 2, 3 feet. If the oceans rise 1 or 2, 3 feet, your storms are going to be exponentially worse. Sandy's not going to be just 3 feet. The flood level at Sandy was at 8 foot. Well, if Sandy happened again and global sea warming was 2 feet higher, it's going to be not 2 feet higher. It's going to be exponentially higher. You know what I'm saying? So this is how the premiums are going to rise. Now it's up to here. Let me just take a step back. You might only be a foot below, and you're not going to get your 25% increase. You might only get a 15% increase. Does anybody thinking about buying a home or a friend that's buying a home? Okay, they better have a good flood insurance agent, and they better have a realtor that knows flood insurance, because they're going to go get a Philly agent that knows nothing, and they're going to go, here's where you are. Especially when you're selling your home, if your premium's 3 or 4 or 5 or 6,000, whatever that is, there's some ways to fight it. There's actually things that you can do to mitigate and lower it without actually elevating your home. So there's a lot of good things that you can kind of do. Here is an $11,000 premium, and it's only worth $128,000. This is the actual $65,000 premium. I couldn't make it much bigger, but you can see it. She paid $4,000, and the number 65,000. It's right there if you can see it. But that's what a $65,000 flood insurance premium looks like. The house never flooded, and it's for a $250,000 policy. Someone asked about the value of your home. Like what happens when my flood insurance premium goes. If you get a $100,000 mortgage today, if I go and I want to buy a $100,000 mortgage at today's interest rate, it's about $500 a month. So if I get approved to buy a house for $500,000 here and your flood insurance is $6,000 a year, well, I can't buy that house anymore because I lost $100,000 on your flood insurance buying power, okay? So at the end of the day, your monthly payment is like paying an extra $100,000. So you're gonna lose about $100,000. Talk about how do I lower my flood insurance premium. I wanna discuss a few things. Number one, how to contact me. It's right here if you wanna take a picture. Right, so a surveyor plots your land, generally speaking, okay? FEMA came out and said, well, we're gonna have these surveyors do an elevation certificate. If you don't specialize in doing elevation certificates, they're gonna be wrong. So I'll show you a slide. Look, if you wanna know what your true flood rate is, you're next. If you wanna know what your true flood rate is, just go to www.truefloodrate.com. So one of the things that we wanna do is we wanna let you know that your premiums are gonna go high. We wanna get your premiums as low as possible, and you don't have to buy the most expensive stuff. You don't have to get the most expensive agent. You wanna get somebody who's smart and knows their stuff. Also, with terms of flood vents, there's Coca-Cola and there's RC Cola. Do you care which cola is doing your flood vent that's gonna save your money, or you want the cheapest flood vent, right? So this is a FEMA compliant flood vent. If you wanna keep it on your list, it's FEMA compliant flood flaps, and it's significantly cheaper than the market leader, significantly cheaper than the market leader. All right, so how do I lower my flood insurance premiums? Number one, make sure your flood agent rated your home correctly. Get somebody who knows what they're doing. Make sure there's no mistakes on your elevation certificate. There's about 30 different points in your elevation certificate where they can make a mistake, so having a good elevation certificate that's correct. And your insurance agent should know if there's a mistake or not. You can look, because there's pictures involved now in the whole 9 yards. You can raise your deductible or remove contents insurance. I would always do that. A lot of times you can raise your mechanicals above the BFE. If you go to StopFemaNow.com, this presentation will be on there later on tonight or tomorrow morning, so you can kind of see that. You can add, they have to be certified flood vents. Just do a little research, because some people you can get a $10 vent, you can get a $300 vent. The $10 vent is not FEMA certified. At the end of the day, you're gonna have to reinstall it. The labor is half the problem, okay? You can backfill, anybody have basements, crawl spaces, little deep crawl spaces? So a lot of times you don't have to elevate your home. What FEMA's doing is they're counting your elevation as your and it depends on specific cases, but they don't count the plywood floor that you're sitting on in your kitchen as your elevation. They're counting your slab or your basement as your elevation. So instead of like paying all this money to elevate your home, you just have to backfill your crawl space or basement, and that's like elevating. PRP, if you don't live in a flood zone, I think pretty much the whole island's in a flood zone. Am I correct in saying? Just about, might be a couple high spots. Right. So if you can, get your PRP policy. Those are really great. So if they remap you into another zone, you're going to get like ridiculously cheap flood insurance. I suggest everybody get flood insurance, because if you're not in a flood zone, it's a few $100s a year. And just so you know, 80% of the people that flood throughout the country do not have flood insurance and don't live in a flood zone, actually. It's not only that, the overdevelopment is a problem now. When they build new developments upstream, that water is going to come flooding down. It's just, I don't sell flood insurance, but I would highly recommend it. So one of the things you want to do is, and this is where it kind of gets tricky, is you want to review FEMA's lowest floor guide. That kind of, there's ways to elevate your elevation without elevating your home, okay? It's a 60-70 page document, and you got to be a lawyer and an engineer to kind of figure it out. But this is really what guides your flood insurance premium. It's pretty important. If any of your ground is higher than the elevation that FEMA requires, you can actually get taken out of a flood zone. So there's a lot of places here now that are not in a flood zone. You guys know Ortley and Lavalette and stuff. That's a barrier island. There are high spots that are not even in a flood zone. So you can appeal that. It's like a tax appeal. You can appeal. It's called a letter of map amendment. Okay. Your town can apply for CRS discounts. What's the CRS discount in Ocean City? If you want to know what everybody looks at. If you want to write this down, it's called What is my ABFE? What is my ABFE? Just Google it. Something from Fema come up, click it. I think it's the first link. And then you just put in your address and your flood panel will come up with your actual map. It'll be like Google Maps. And it'll tell you everything about your house. It won't tell you what your elevation is, but it'll tell you what's required of your elevation, what zone you're in, and all that good stuff. So it's got some good for me. What is my ABFE? This is the elevation certificate explained. So every one of these yellow things is where things can go wrong. So if you don't have a guy that knows how to do things, and there's gray areas that can benefit you or hurt you. So getting an elevation certificate. Homes are being elevated to lower your risk. Think about it. People are paying $100, $200 to elevate their homes as last resort. This is my contact information. Feel free to take a picture of it, and I'll open up the floor to whoever wants to ask a question. Increases. Yes, sir. I'm sorry? So risk 2.0 is, let's say you have a 10 block by 10 block area panel, okay? And this is the ocean, and this is inland. Right now, all the 10 blocks are rated the same way. Let's say all the homes are built by one developer exactly the same. Same height, same risk, same value. So what they're going to do is they're going to rate the homes closest to the risk higher than the ones in the back. It kind of makes sense. My question was, now I'm part of the conversation, and my question was, okay, it kind of makes sense. So this panel is paying $1 million in premiums. At the end of the day, aggregate, it should be $1 million. You don't get that answer. But furthermore, here's the big problem, or one of the bigger problems. They're counting, if you live in California, New Jersey, New York, the higher cost construction areas, they're going to charge you more because it costs more to rebuild. So they're just compounding things. And nobody really knows. Senator Schumer said, the only thing I have about risk rating 2.0, and you're going to implement it in a few months, is a 121-word press release. A 121-word press release is all they have about a fundamental change in risk mapping. Next question. Yes. All right. So all the folks at Ocean County, the mayor of Key West, Monroe County in Florida, they reached out to me. These are people that are proactive about flood insurance, understand flood insurance. Look, I believe there's 17,000 policies in Ocean City. It might be number one in the state, but if you're number one in the state, you should know flood insurance. You should be leading the charge in letting your congressman, letting your senator. You should be down in if I was involved in the town, I would be here speaking about it, and I'd be down in Washington fighting about it alongside my congressman. Now, Congressman Van Drew is a freshman, and he got up and said, you got to stop this. This is ridiculous. It's not only going to hurt Ocean City, Pennsville, Cape May, this whole area is going to get murdered, okay? So, yeah, the folks in Ocean City, look, they're proactive in terms of getting a 25% increase. How much are you paying in flood insurance, sir? $1,000. So you're saving $250 a year because of what Ocean City's doing. So everybody, please realize that the town is doing a lot to help reduce flood insurance. They spend a lot of money to mitigate flooding, and the more you spend and the more you help the community, the lower your premiums are going to go, okay? But they should be in front of this. So maybe they don't know, they're busy, there's a lot of stuff going on, but they should be in front of it. I would reach out to them, pop them an email and say, hey, there's a bunch of towns and cities across the country writing a simple resolution. Here it is. Go to StopFemaNow.com, hit resolutions, and say, just give us a quick resolution. It's not a big deal. But they should be. But not only that, in Louisiana, there were 20 parish presidents that came up, met them in D.C., and that's what we want to do this time around. But we want to bring mayors and towns and townships from across the country to go down to D.C. and say, hey, this isn't about New Jersey or Louisiana or Florida. This is a national issue, all right? Other questions? Yes, sir. So here's what a resolution means. There's 22,000. If you got every flood zone community to write a resolution and you got 1,000 mayors and councilmen to go down to Washington, D.C., what do you think it means? What do you think it means? Why do you think Congressman Van Drew's deputy director, am I correct? Chief of, I'm sorry about that. Deputy chief of staff. This isn't an intern from college that a flunky. This gentleman knows flood insurance. And I just try and be straight up front. This is important to the congressman. This isn't about a stop sign down the street. This is about people going to lose their home. This actually room should be overflowing. And the number one issue actually in Ocean City should be flood insurance. That's just my opinion. I don't know much about going. I do read about some eagle coming down with the seagulls. They should be talking about flood insurance. People are going to lose their home. How do we make flood insurance cheaper for everybody? Look, hopefully they go to D.C. I've had mayors, councilmen, I've had meetings with senators and congressmen in D.C. And we got to make noise. Otherwise, there's gonna be people gonna lose their home. Happening. Like, I'll tell you, in Toms River, you can't raise the ground anymore. In some towns, you can still raise the ground and flood your neighbor. I mean, Ocean City having a 25% CRS rating, 25%, they're spending money. It's not, it's definitely a priority. Did you guys find this information helpful? I appreciate it. Give me 2 seconds. Do me a favor. This is my name. I'm on Facebook. Feel free to Facebook me. I'm going to put you, we have an interactive group. If you have a specific question, I like to not just help one person, I like to help a lot of people. So we have a group, we have over, through all our platforms, Twitter, Facebook, email list, this whole thing, we have over 50,000 people across the country now. So what I'd like to do is, if you friend me, if I don't know you, I take you and I automatically dump you into a group that's interactive, where there's experts. If I don't know the answer, I will get you the smartest guy in the room on your particular question, because there's a lot of stuff. I might have to raise it, I might have to backfill it, I need flood insurance, my elevation certificate, specific questions, and we can get you. There'll be somebody in that room that will answer your question, all right? So number one, feel free to friend me on Facebook. You can email me here. This is my email. I'm sorry, this is the website. On this website, there's a bunch of tabs. Play with the tabs and just see, what's of interest to you. Here's our email, and this is one of our Facebook pages. So the press conference that was about 2 or 3 weeks ago was Senator Menendez, Senator Cassidy, Senator Kennedy, a couple Democrats and Republicans on there, but it was a congressman on there. I was pretty shocked. It was nice. Congressman Pallone's there, and Congressman Van Drew there, which was very shocked. I love, because a lot of the new guys, they don't want to shake the boat, and I appreciate that he is shaking the boat, and everybody here should actually appreciate that, right? I would grab his card and just email him. A lot of these congressmen actually look for input in whatever their issue is, so if you have a question. Do you have any words?
Okay, so obviously this is a huge, huge issue, and I just want to kind of give you a summary of what is happening in the House right now. Chairman Pallone, as you said, he's the chairman of the Energy and Commerce Committee. He's a good friend to have, one of the most, they would say, A-list committees. He introduced the National Flood Insurance Reauthorization Reform Act with bicameral, Senator Menendez, etc. We're a co-sponsor. Basically, what's happening is there's 2 competing bills. Chairwoman Waters has her own bill. What's going on is we're trying to build a coalition. We do have broad support, bicameral, Democrats and Republicans. We have issues with, obviously, Chairwoman Waters' bill. So basically what it's going to come down to is, you write congressman, write your senator, call the chairwoman, let her know, because the only way that, this is going to get fixed is if our bill is the one that gets to move forward. We don't want, we want caps to so your premiums don't go up 25%. We need to revamp, the flood maps, so you know if you're in a floodplain or not in a floodplain. So all these changes that we're trying to make, it's only going to happen if, we need involvement. They have to put, they're not just going to pass a bill because, they want to. You got to let them know. You have to say, we're watching. You have to say, this is a real issue. You have to let them know, I'm coming out of my pocket thousands of dollars. This isn't right. So going forward, we're going to continue to fight on this issue. I'll give my card out to anyone who wants to contact the office. We're willing to listen. We can always use help, inputs, what's going on, what needs to be tweaked. But I would say the bottom line is it comes down to right now we have two competing bills in the House, and we support Chairman Pallone's bill because there's Chairwoman Waters' bill does not fix a lot of things, and there are a number of problems if that bill goes forward for areas like ours. So basically, it comes down to you got to apply pressure. Maybe we can work together, come down, you testify in front of a committee, something like that. So the main goal is Chairman Pallone is the prime sponsor. We're co-sponsor, bicameral, bipartisan. We are, building a pretty good. We do have more co-sponsors than the Waters bill. So it's up to us to, really apply pressure to move this thing forward. And that's what it's going to come down to,
Do me a favor, can everybody give a round of applause to Mr. Van Drew through here, please? Is that a great job?
Thank you.
Seriously? And thank you again for coming. It was short notice, and he came, and thank you, and please thank the Congressman. I appreciate it. Look, lastly, somebody talked about the driveway, the permeable, the flood insurance, getting a resolution. Look, somebody talked to the council and the mayor and said, look, these birds are coming down, they're ruining our businesses, and they went and they did whatever they had to do to get that done. Do you feel this is more important than that? So just give them a call. Just say, hey, Councilman, hey, I'm concerned about my flood insurance premiums. What can you do? We need this working. We need to work more closer with Van Drew and all that other stuff. Any other questions that we have? Thank you very, very much, and you have a great day. Thank you.